My fiancée screamed, "You can't talk to other women, not even your sister." Meanwhile, she had many male friends. So, I invited every woman from my past to our engagement party and called off the wedding in front of everyone. I, 29 male, am sitting in my car in a grocery store parking lot. I should be in there picking up the Chardonnay Cynthia likes, but instead, I'm staring at my phone, confirming the final details of a plan that will detonate my life. It's not an act of impulse. It's a conclusion reached after months of deliberately ignoring red flags that were practically smacking me in the face. My fiancée Cynthia, 27, thinks I'm the world's most apologetic devoted partner right now. She has no idea I'm just managing the final stages of a very ugly project. The final straw wasn't a single event, but it did have a focal point. Last Tuesday, I was on the phone with my sister, Angela, 31. We were laughing about a family inside. Joke. Cynthia walked into the room with a look that could curdle milk. The second I hung up, the interrogation began. "Who was that?" "Angela," I said, already tensing. "It sounded like you were having a little too much fun. It sounded flirty." I tried to laugh it off, but that was a mistake. It was like throwing gasoline on a fire. She launched into a tirade, a greatest hits of her insecurities. I didn't respect her. I was emotionally cheating. A man about to be married should be a closed book. It culminated in her red-faced and shaking screaming, "You can't talk to other women. I don't care who they are, not even your sister." I just stood there. The scary part was, I wasn't surprised. This was the same woman who had a work husband, Nicholas, a gym buddy, Gary, and her high school best friend, Jacob. Jacob, who she has weekly friend dates with. Jacob, who she texts at all hours. Jacob, who once told me with a smug grin, he'd be there to catch her if I ever messed up. My discomfort with these men was always twisted back on me. I was controlling, insecure, trying to isolate her. The fight over Angela wasn't a revelation. It was a confirmation. It was the moment I stopped making excuses for her. I saw the hypocrisy for what it was. A set of rules for me, and a total absence of rules for her. She didn't want a partner. She wanted a possession. The day after that fight, I was a wreck. I confided in a mutual friend, Shirley, someone I trusted who had been friends with both of us. I told her about the fight, about the constant double standards. An hour later, my phone buzzed. It was Shirley. Her text read, "Ryan, after what you just told me, I can't in good conscience keep this to myself anymore. I've been seeing things for months. You need to know who you're really engaged to." Attached were screenshots from Cynthia's close friend's story on Instagram. They were conversations with Jacob. My stomach turned to ice as I read them. A picture of the engagement ring on Cynthia's hand. "Jacob looks good, but would look better if I bought it." Cynthia's reply, "Shh, you'll get your turn." A chat where Cynthia complained, "I was so predictable." Jacob's reply, "Don't worry, you can have your fun with him, and I'll still be here for the real excitement, the one that made me physically ill." A picture she took of me sleeping captioned, "My future ATM. He has no idea how much I'm going to drain from him." That was it. The hurt solidified into something cold and hard. This wasn't a relationship to save. It was a threat to neutralize. My brain, which spends all day debugging code, just switched modes. I was no longer a fiancé. I was a project manager executing a controlled demolition. So, I apologized to Cynthia. I told her she was right, that I'd be more considerate. She bought it completely, basking in her victory. Meanwhile, I've been preparing for our engagement party this Saturday. It's a big catered affair. Her parents insisted on about 150 people. I went through my contacts. I didn't need an army. I just needed a few tea people in the room. I called Kathleen, my high school girlfriend. We broke up. On good terms. "Kathleen," I said, "I know it's a weird ask, but it would genuinely mean a lot to me to have friends from all parts of my life there. We were a big part of each other's story, and I'd be honored if you came." She was surprised, but agreed. I messaged, "Amy, my engineer friend from university, I was more honest with her. Amy, I'm going through something serious. I can't explain it all right now, but I desperately need a friendly face in that room on Saturday. I need to know someone there is on my side. She just replied, "Say no more. I'm there." Helen, my work colleague, the one Cynthia was irrationally jealous of, got a simple professional invite. Her presence alone would be enough. My sister Angela, of course, will be there. She knows everything. She's my rock. The plan is simple. I will let them all arrive. I will play the part of the happy groom-to-be. Then during the speeches, I will get up, take the microphone, and calmly and methodically end things. In front of her family, my family, and a few carefully chosen ghosts from her list of forbidden women. I know this is brutal. A part of me is screaming in protest, mourning the woman I thought I loved. But that woman doesn't exist. The screenshots proved it. I'm not setting a fire. I'm just exposing one that's already been burning for months. Update 1. It's over. I'm at my sister's apartment, and my phone has been on silent for 12 hours. I feel hollowed out, but the shaking has stopped. The party was a surreal nightmare. Cynthia was in her element, wearing a white dress that was practically a wedding gown. Her father clapped me on the back, calling me son, while Jacob hovered near Cynthia, a possessive hand always on her waist or the small of her back. He gave me a knowing smirk, as if we were both in on a joke at my expense. He had no idea how. Right he was. The arrivals were staggered, just as I'd hoped. When Kathleen walked in, Cynthia's smile faltered. "Cynthia, this is my dear old friend Kathleen," I said. Kathleen was perfect. "So lovely to finally meet you," she said, her tone utterly unreadable. When Amy arrived, and she and I launched into a brief geeky chat about work, I could feel the heat of Cynthia's glare. Helen's arrival earned a barely there handshake and a dismissive up-and-own glance from Cynthia. The final piece was my sister. I walked over to Angela and gave her a long, heartfelt hug right in the middle of the room. Cynthia's face tightened into a mask of fury. She pulled me into an alcove, her nails digging into my bicep. "What is this? What are they all doing here?" she hissed. "They're important people for my life, Cynthia," I said, my voice steady. "I wanted you to see they aren't threats." "You did this to humiliate me," she whispered, her eyes welling with rage, not sadness. "No," I replied, meeting her gaze. "I'm not the one who should be humiliated." Her father tapped the microphone. Speeches. He and my dad said their pieces. Then it was my turn. I walked up to the small stage. The room was full of expectant faces. Cynthia was in the front, smiling again, ready for her tribute. "Thank you all for coming," I began, my voice clear. An engagement is supposed to be a promise of trust and respect, a promise to be partners, to protect each other, and to be a safe harbor for one another. I let that hang in the air. The mood in the room shifted. Cynthia's smile froze. I've learned recently that trust and respect can be an illusion. I've learned that a partnership can be a cage. And I've learned that the person I thought I was building a future with sees me not as a partner, but as a possession to be controlled and an asset to be drained. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cynthia stood up. "Ryan, stop it." "What are you doing?" I looked past her at the crowd. My relationship with my own sister was called flirty. My friendships with women were labeled as betrayals, all while a very different set of rules applied to her. I can no longer live in a relationship built on such profound hypocrisy. I spoke my final words directly into the mic for everyone to hear. For that reason, the wedding is off. This engagement is over. Absolute pandemonium. Cynthia let out a raw scream of fury. Her father started yelling, "You worthless punk!" Her mother burst into tears. My parents just looked at me with a mixture of shock and dawning understanding. Jacob started toward me, trying to play the hero, but my dad, a quiet, gentle man, stepped in his path and gave a short, firm shake of his head. Jacob, a bully at his core, faltered and stopped. I set the microphone down. I didn't run. I walked calmly off the stage, past my sister, who gave me a subtle nod, past Cynthia, whose face was contorted in a mask of pure hatred, and straight out the front door. The cool night air felt like the first breath of a new life. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks. The initial explosion has settled into a grimy trench war. As expected, Cynthia and her family launched a vicious counteroffensive. I'm now the villain of the story. Cynthia is telling everyone she caught me cheating, and that my speech was a desperate, cruel attempt to deflect from my own infidelity. Her friends, led by Jacob, have been leaving negative reviews for my employer online, vaguely referencing my unethical character. It's infuriating, but I was prepared for it. Then a week ago, a thick envelope arrived. It wasn't from a lawyer. It was from Cynthia's father, written on his company's letterhead. It was a rambling 2-page screed, demanding I pay them $50,000 for the public humiliation and emotional trauma I had caused his daughter, plus reimbursement for her wedding-related purchases. A list that laughably included designer clothes and a Peloton. He threatened to use his business connections to make my life a living hell if I didn't pay. It was pure bullying, an attempt to scare me into submission. This is where things took a turn I didn't orchestrate. My lawyer, a sharp woman Angela recommended, drafted a polite but firm piss-off letter in response to Cynthia's father. But before we sent it, the situation evolved. Cynthia and Jacob, furious and embarrassed, started lashing out. They targeted Shirley, the mutual friend who sent me the screenshots, accusing her online of being a jealous snake and helping Ryan cheat. They picked the wrong person to bully. Shirley, pushed into a corner, and having her own reputation slandered, decided to defend herself. She didn't post the screenshots on her own public feed. She did something much smarter. She sent them directly to about a dozen T mutual friends in a group chat with a simple message. Since Cynthia and Jacob are attacking my character and calling me a liar, I think you all deserve to see the truth of what I saw. This is why I supported Ryan's decision. It was a tactical nuke. The screenshots of Cynthia calling me her ATM and her flirty banter with Jacob spread through our social circles like wildfire. Jacob's attempt to brand me a cheater and Cynthia a victim blew up in their faces. The online reviews of my employer stopped. The angry messages dwindled. Cynthia's father went silent. The war wasn't over, but their main offensive had been crushed by their own arrogance. It's a hollow victory. There's no joy in watching someone's life implode, even when they caused it. I feel exhausted, like I've aged a decade in 2 weeks. Final update. 6 months. It feels like a lifetime. I'm back in my own apartment. It's been cleansed. I threw out or gave away every single thing that reminded me of her. The walls are a different color. The air is lighter. It's my space again. The fallout settled in a messy, realistic way. There was no single day of victory, just a slow, grinding conclusion. Cynthia and Jacob are still together, a fact I find grimly fitting. They are a monument to each other's bad decisions. Their social circle fractured. Her hardcore friends stuck by her by buying into her narrative of being a victim of a coordinated attack. But most of our mutual friends, armed with the truth from Shirley's screenshots, quietly drifted away. The reputational damage she tried to invoice me for became her reality. A self-inflicted wound. I heard she eventually left her job, telling people she couldn't work in such a toxic city anymore. She moved back in with her parents. Her father never bothered me again after Shirley released the screenshots. Publicly available evidence of his daughter's scheming made his threats of ruining my reputation utterly impotent. My own healing has been slow and non-linear. For months, I was paranoid and angry. I doubted my own judgment. How could I have been so blind? My sister Angela was my anchor, as were my parents. Amy, my engineer friend, became a lifeline. We started having weekly dinners, decompressing from work and navigating the weirdness of it all. It was just friendship, simple, honest, and utterly devoid of drama. It's teaching me what a healthy connection feels like again. And the ring, the cursed object, it sat in a drawer for months. I finally took it to a jeweler. He gave me the standard speech about resale value on custom pieces being terrible. I walked out with a check that was less than half of what I'd paid. It wasn't a windfall, but it was enough. Next month, Angela and I are flying to Southeast Asia for 3 weeks. The trip is paid for by the sale of the ring. A symbolic act of turning something ugly into something beautiful. A thank you to the one woman in my life whose loyalty was never ever in question. I don't know what the future holds for me romantically. The idea of trusting someone that completely again is terrifying. But I'm not broken. I'm just wiser, more cautious. I learned that you can't ignore a foundation full of cracks. No matter how beautiful the house looks on the surface, eventually you have to make a choice. Live in the unstable structure and wait for it to collapse on you, or pick up a sledgehammer and bring it down yourself. I chose the sledgehammer, and I'm finally ready to start rebuilding.